Jack is going to be upset with you when he sees these pictures. I think is what's going to happen. We're all
fraternity.
Were you guys here for the
I left about 7.
I was listening to it.
Okay.
I think it was about 10. Yeah. Yeah. I listened to part of the evening. We had our thing over here and took the guys for a drink. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. Nobody's actually, we're going to look it up later. I was thinking maybe we could just like a whole list of videos and then we have say things like, this is the Senate. Yes. You know, there were several phrases last night. I almost texted you with it, but it was like, you know, there were several phrases that came up, like through every single one. Yeah, but, you know, like, this is not the House, this is the Senate. At the end of the day. Yes, at the end of the day, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, so I'm going to work on it. I'll get you a card. All right, I think we should let the guy let the body decide. Yes. Sure. Oh, last night there was a lot of what's your Indian or Eastern. So I'll put it together. It's going to look good. And I'll use it. I've heard loud and clear. Which bingo you Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Sure. Yeah, no, it's just, we got it out to our people. They have oh, yeah, just, here. Yeah, okay. We'll take it. Yeah. I'm just going to go here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Right.
Oh, I think that it was
very classic. Tripod. Okay. Just like online.
If you get a person that way later that spends a lot of money, awesome. I'm helping the economy, right? Oh, you are just a job creator.
Job creators.
I think we can call them differently now. Hi, David. How are you? David, have you met Frank before? We were free chatting as a result today, so we brought Fred in.
You need to read this. Funny. How are you? Did you have good coffee? The president for the It's a little bit different.
Anytime you need it, probably
What?
Yeah, 3 of the 4.
The workforce development binder for the other bills. So let's maybe on the way down there, shop her.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Speakers Committee on Workforce Development and Workplace Safety is about to convene. Our intention is to conduct this meeting with the courtesy and decorum expected of us as representatives. I'd like to ask you to please help us attain that goal. We have a quorum present. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Lant.
Here.
Vice Chair Fraker.
Here.
Representatives Frame.
Present.
Carr.
Here.
Hampton. Kelly. May. McManus. Swan. Here. Walker.
Present.
Weber.
Here.
White.
Here.
We do have a quorum. The Committee on Workforce will now go into executive session. And I move due pass on House Bill 1343. Is there any discussion? None appearing. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Lant.
Aye.
Vice Chair Fraker.
Aye.
Representatives Frame.
Pass.
Carr.
Aye.
Hampton. Kelly. May. McManus. Swan.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Weber.
No.
White.
Aye.
Frame.
No way it happens. By your vote of 7 ayes, 3 nays, we've passed House Bill 1343. I now move due pass on House Bill 1153, Representative Pace's bill.
Give me a real quick summary, very quick summary.
Same one we had last year,
Yeah.
voted consent.
History.
Okay.
Chairman Lant.
Aye.
Vice Chair Fraker.
Aye.
Representatives Frame.
Aye.
Carr.
Aye.
Hampton.
Aye.
Kelly. May. McManus. Swan.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Representative Pace has asked that we vote consent on this. I would do pass consent.
Chairman Lant.
Aye.
Vice Chair Fraker.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that? Aye. Sorry.
Representatives Frame.
Aye.
Carr.
Aye.
Hampton.
Aye.
Kelly. May. McManus. Swan.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
By your vote of 9-0, we have passed consent, House Bill 1153. I vote do pass on House Bill 1099, Burleson's. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Lant.
Aye.
Vice Chair Fraker.
Aye.
Representatives Frame.
Pass. That's not right. I didn't hear what it said. I'm sorry, I was trying to hear.
Carr.
Hampton. Kelly.
My attention was diverted.
May. McManus. Swan.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Weber.
No.
White.
Aye.
Frame.
No.
By your vote of 7 ayes, 2 noes, we have passed House Bill 1099. At this point, we'll open the hearing on House Bill 1144, sponsored by Representative White. Representative White, go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee for hearing my bill. I'm Representative White. I represent the 161st District, Joplin, Missouri. House bill we're hearing is 1144. This is a bill I have filed in 12, 13, and now in 14. This bill is a result of the Joplin tornado, which we had in 2011, which you're all familiar with. That was predominantly my district, and now after redistricting, I think I have all but 2 houses and 1 business that were damaged by that tornado in the Joplin area. One of the things that we experienced we had lots of tragedies, but one of the tragedies we had that wasn't apparent initially is that this tornado, unless it could do a really hard curve, drew about the best line it could to take out what you would call low-income housing. This was our housing from the turn of the century. These were small, minor type houses, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, really small bungalows. And we lost a tremendous number of those, thousands. I believe our total on all the housing was 8,000 for losses. Unfortunately, a lot of those places weren't insured. They were very small lots. We had a problem with rebuilding that it isn't really economical, apparently. I'm not a builder, although we built a couple houses, had them built for me. In building small 500-600 square foot houses. The bungalows that we had, there's only a few places in Joplin that those are being replaced. We do not have, after the tornado, we did not have a place, and now even still, where 2 people that, with our things the way they are, where people are cutting back due to health care and whatnot, where we don't have full-time employees. We may have 2 people that are part-time employees. The average rental in our place is $500 roughly, or up. I have not seen a place advertised for probably lower than $450 for a while. This bill addresses one of the problems that we ran into. Of course, we have a lot of people come in and want to do building for our low-income housing tax credit. Although being a conservative whatnot, I support low-income housing tax credits. We need to watch them closely, but that's how we're rebuilding low-income housing in my town. We're doing the MHDC type financing. Because I have an interest in energy efficiency and whatnot, I just didn't write letters for the contractors that wanted to submit applications for the tax credits. I sent them a questionnaire, 9 questions. Low-income housing that is not energy efficient is not low-income housing in the winter or in the summer when it's really hot or when it's really cold. So I knew how these things were being built, had phone conversations. Some of them sent me nice written materials on what we were going to build. We actually had one proposal that was going to be insulated concrete form structures, very, very tornado-proof, good, solid building, unusual for a low-income housing project. Those we wrote, I got my answers back, and those that responded appropriately, we're going to build good quality housing. I wrote nice letters. To make a long story short, all of a sudden after September, the word comes out that, wait, we have to do prevailing wage, and the MHDC allowed an extra month to resubmit all the bids for all the contracts that were all the requests for tax credits. There was a dramatic difference in what I wrote letters for the second time than what I wrote letters for the first time. We lost quality and we lost quantity. In my district, I would rather have single-family houses where you can have a community rather than apartments. I'd rather have duplexes if I can't have single-family housing, quadplexes. Then ultimately, you get into apartments, other larger structures where it's harder to get a sense of community. We went from single-family structures and duplexes to apartment buildings. Numbers went down. no more insulated concrete form, 2 before construction, or pardon me, 2 to 6 construction became 2 before construction. So we lost quality and quantity because of this requirement. And looking into it, we did not until 2010 require prevailing wage on MHDC housing. That was apparently added by the committee then with our governor in charge of it. I want to point out a few things. I am an attorney. Prevailing wage deals with public works projects. It deals with government expenditures for public works projects. The United States Supreme Court and the Missouri Supreme Court have both held tax credits are not governmental expenditures. And when you look at the definitions in our statute for what public works projects are, they are not housing built by private people. These are individual companies that are asking for these grants. They are private, individual-owned companies. They in no way, I've gone through, I've read the chapter, I pulled out a couple different sections. This does not meet the requirements for public works. This is not governmental expenditures. Therefore, this bill is very specific. I'm not taking on all of prevailing wage. I'm not taking on all of prevailing wage on MHDC housing. This is strictly for any contract for work performed on such housing if such housing is located in an area declared to be a disaster area by the governor of the state. I still need low-income housing in my district. We do not have enough housing for people. And we need the bottom end of housing for as far as cost goes. That is where we hurt the most. We have people, you know, they like to build big houses. Well, unfortunately, we have a lot of people that can't afford big houses. And this is what we needed to have more housing. This decreased our quality and our quantity. So that's the origination of this bill. And from a legal perspective, there is no requirement for this to be. And with that, I would be happy to take questions.
Representative Frank?
Thank you. So the reason there now that we're doing it prevailing wage is because of the tax credits being provided, correct?
The reason we're doing it is because MHDC has decided to require them.
With tax credits?
Oh, yes.
They wouldn't require someone to pay prevailing wage, building their own home, not seeking any tax credits.
That's not within their purview.
Okay, so the reason they've decided is because there's tax credits. Can you walk me through the process then, how these tax credits work?
Well, they apply to MHDC for these tax credits. I haven't done the application. I've written letters in support of them.
Okay.
I actually have a question in the department on how some of this works. Some of the concerns we've had. My bill deals with Missouri tax credits. It deals with the tax credits that go through here. My understanding from the department would be there are federal programs that may, because of federal law, require prevailing wage. Those can be asked for or not asked for by contractors. If they choose to ask for something that requires federal prevailing wage, that's their choice. These people were not asking for those.
Okay, but just walk me through the process.
So they apply. They do their application. They send pictures. They do a lot of documents they send into MHDC.
Okay.
They, in that process, usually go to the local representatives and ask for letters of support.
The contractors?
Well, the companies, yeah, contractors, whatever. The development companies are usually, may or may not be the contractor actually building, the development companies.
Understood.
In my case, I respond back to them and say, okay, tell me what you're doing. I would like pictures, answer this list of questions I have.
I'm not so worried about the letters of support. I'm looking more at how they apply for these tax credits.
Well, they do the application and submit them.
Okay. Well, then once they've been submitted and approved.
Well, they don't necessarily get approved. They go through, we had a lot submitted. We didn't get very many approved. Okay. Because there's a limited amount of money or whatever. Not only were their tax credits awarded for Joplin. They were awarded for Kansas City. They were awarded for St. Louis. They were awarded for all sorts of little towns. This is a statewide, Missouri, Housing Development Corporation is a statewide thing, of course.
Sure.
And not all the housing at that particular in 2011 went to Joplin.
So once they've decided who's going to get these particular tax credits, then those contractors or developers are given a credit on their taxes or taxes paid the next year, correct?
It works as a regular tax credit, yes. There are restrictions on it. If you'd like, I've got the book here on tax credits. If you need
I just rather talk
have a
about
primer.
it.
Well, let me pull it out. Okay. There are two types of tax credits. One's at 9%, one's at 4%. The state one's at 4%. are done by bonding, it looks like. What else would you like to know about?
No, I really just want to talk to you. I didn't ask you to bring that. You did that on your own.
Well, I'm not an expert on how the process works because I don't work for the Missouri MHDC. If I did, I'd be able to, so I got to do a little research on it here.
No problem. So it's 9% and 4% you said down?
Right. There are two different levels.
Of the total project, they would receive a 9% or 4% tax credit towards next year's taxes.
That's my understanding. Are the tax credits for, well, 2013, 2011 were actually $102 million authorized. For 13 were $192 million authorized.
Okay. So there would definitely be a reduction in general revenue then, because those folks are not going to pay taxes. Am I correct? 9% or 4%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your tax credits are not
I understand.
Right.
Okay. So in effect, the state government is paying them
No.
by not charging them the taxes that they fully do owe.
Well, I tend to go with the Supreme Court. It is not an expenditure. This is something
It
that
sounds like you got a great case for a court case. Why are you bringing this to the legislature?
because this is a law. Well, because we had what I consider to be an arbitrary decision to impose prevailing wage in 2010.
So why not just go take it to court?
Because I'm a legislator. I'm an attorney also, but this is an appropriate thing for a legislature to do, is to correct maybe an excess and overreach under the executive branch if you want.
Well, you're assuming, I guess, the courts would agree with you.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I'm not so sure.
Well,
so I know
debatable.
we had my parents had a house rebuilt because of a fire, and the insurance company wouldn't let them pick a union contractor. They were forced to.
That has nothing to do with MHDC tax
Give
credits.
a little answer here. We'll come back. So the insurance company wouldn't allow them to pick their own contractor. In this case, they wanted a union contractor. They were forced to take the contractor and rules that the contract set up with the insurance company. The insurance company didn't pay 100% of their home, far from it, yet they were allowed to pick which contractor they had to use. Sounds kind of like the same thing going on here. Is
No.
the state, in fact, is paying for the rebuilding of this, and
No.
I understand, we've already established that. So why don't they have a say-so into how things are done on the job? Which contractors use, how much is paid, and so on?
Well, your insurance scenario with your house, they pick their insurance. That's a totally different animal. This is a tax credit. And by the way, the courts, this is the Missouri Supreme Court and the United States Supreme Court that have both said tax credits are not a government expenditure.
Yeah, take it to court. I don't know why you don't.
Well, I don't have to. I'm a legislator. I'm passing a bill.
Well,
So, I'll explain that. I'll explain why the legislature.
We've got a lot of witnesses. Why don't we go on to represent?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it.
So what exactly would cause the declaration of declaring something a disaster area?
The governor declares a disaster area, as he did in Joplin, as he did in the floods. It's a declaration by the governor.
Right, and what events would trigger that?
It could be earthquake, tornado, ice storm, whatever the governor would feel is a disaster.
Right, and I think another what would be droughts would be very common.
It could be a disaster. I don't know that you'd have a lot of MHDC issues in a drought scenario.
Well, right, I agree. That's kind of my point. Is that when I'm looking at, I just found out that Boone County, actually, the county I'm living, was declared a disaster area in December. I had no clue. I had no idea we were declared a disaster area. And we're one of a long list of counties that just a couple months ago was declared a disaster area. And you're right, it has nothing to do with MHDC. It's a drought.
I don't think an MHDC would give you, as they did with Joplin or they did with the flooding along both the, well, not so much Mississippi, along the Missouri River where housing was destroyed. They're going to be looking at doing more than the average you're going to be doing.
Sure, but we're still completely separate from the fact that Boone County was declared a disaster area. We are receiving MHDC awards and MHDC.
Under my bill, yes. If you had a drought scenario, which
and there's times when the vast majority of the state is declared a disaster area.
I don't think there's vast majorities of the state. I mean, we have ice storm. That isn't a vast majority.
Oh, in the summers when there's a serious drought. I mean, there's the time that more than half the state